Welcome to GodPods, faith conversations from Boston College's Church in the 21st Century Center.
Welcome to GodPods. I'm Karen Kiefer. Today we'll meet Gretchan Pyne, mother, wife, author, motivational speaker, and the member of a group that she never sought to become a part of, a bereaved parent. Yes, Gretchan and her husband Warren and their twin sons Drew and Dylon lost their precious daughter, sister, Lulu, when she was just 4 years old after a tragic accident in an ice cream stand following a beautiful day at the beach. It was a July day. We're going to go back 17 years when her family, her faith, everything changed forever. We'll talk about how we find God in times of great loss and how we begin to find ourselves again by the grace of God. Gretchan, welcome to GodPods. We're so happy to have you with us. And thank you for your willingness to share your heart and your family and your faith and your precious Lulu with us.
Well, my goodness, thank you for having me. This is quite an honor, and hopefully I can spread some love and some light and some hope and some joy and do what my purpose is here, I believe. So you're helping me fulfill my dreams. So thank you.
You mentioned when we were offline that you're actually sitting in Lulu's garden right now. Can you just explain for the listeners where you are?
Well, we're lucky enough to own a little tiny postage stamp piece of waterfront property in Wareham, Massachusetts. So small you can't even build a house on it. So it's just a little garden. When Lulu passed, we turned it into a memorial garden. So it's tucked in, it's quiet. There's hydrangeas blooming and lilies and hibiscus are just starting to pop, and it's overlooking the other side of the harbor, which ironically and serendipitously is where Lulu is buried to this day. A seashell curved walkway with a sign that says angels and butterflies welcome here. It's been a place of healing and growth and frustration, and now it's just a place of peace and
a sanctuary of sorts.
Yes.
Well, I want to go back.
In fact, not to interrupt, but just this morning, Dylon, our son, who is now 26, he and I did yoga this morning at Lulu's garden. So it's awesome. So
a great way to start the day.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Gretchan, I want to go back to June 9th, 2004. And I know for myself, I woke up and I got the Boston Globe and I started to read Bella English's story called Losing Lulu about your family. And I just couldn't get over it. And I sat there and I thought to myself, how can this woman navigate the labyrinth of unspeakable grief? I mean, how is she going to do this? And I'm a mother of 4 daughters, and I felt so compelled to find you and to reach out to you and to just say, I'm sorry. And that's when we started a conversation that actually never ended. And we've been friends ever since. And I think about Lulu so often, and I'm wondering, I never had the chance to meet Lulu. So I thought maybe we begin by you sharing Lulu. Who was the Lulu that you knew?
Well, the Lulu we knew, just turned 4. Little girl, blonde hair, blue-eyed, sassy, of course physically intriguing and beautiful, but it was this energy that it was captivating. It was, that magic that little children have, that no matter what mood you're in, they can just bring you to their moment. And she seemed to have that, just sassy and funny and quirky and goofy and smart. Interestingly enough, she always carried a little tablet with her and a pen. as if she were writing something. And I'd ask her, what are you doing? And she'd say, I'm writing a story. And I'd say, well, what kind of story are you writing? And she'd say, just a story. And she only knew really how to write her name. So it was just her name, over pages and pages and doodles and drawings. But she walked sort of like a dance. The grocery store was an adventure. She wore her plastic high heel Toys R Us shoes and her boa, and so glad I allowed that.
She was a big personality.
Yes, huge personality. Of course, she was human. She was imperfect, even at that age, even as we all, I remember, had to, give her time out, because she was sassy. She was an independent she was a leader already. She broke her leg once, and I felt so bad. What was she going to do? And she had gone to preschool, and I thought, oh my goodness, she's going to be left alone. And I walked in, and she had all the kids crawling on the floor following her. And she was our center, being the youngest and two older twin brothers. And we just sort of centered our life around her magic. And that was a great time.
So can we go back, as hard as it is, to that July day? Can you just walk us through a piece of the day and then, of course, what happened?
Sure. Well, imagine, if you will, like you had, and I know everyone out there, no one's family's perfect. Let's just get that right out from the start. But let's just say you're having the perfect family day, and you go to the beach, and it's just the perfect day, and then you end the day to get an ice cream cone, and this moment whereby it's just so freakishly beautiful and horrific at the same time. And we grabbed ice creams, and Lulu. Hold on, I'm going to breathe. 1 minute. Lulu was sort of holding the mint chocolate chip ice cream, dancing under, a rain had started to form, and it was a mist, a light rain. And I thought, oh, she looks so beautiful. I'll never forget this moment. And she was sort of dancing there, and a rainbow appeared, and then another rainbow appeared, a double rainbow. And the boys had gone inside of this ice cream stand. They had little video games. And so I went inside to grab them and brought them outside, and to see this beautiful, magnificent double rainbow. Lulu stood next to what we thought was a fence at the time to pose in front of the beautiful double rainbow. Ta-da, look at this rainbow. And it wasn't a fence. It was a makeshift, unanchored bicycle rack that toppled over, landed on her, and severed her heart.
So instantly you run to Lulu. And
right.
The next thing you know, you
start CPR. Yeah, the whole 9 yards. Call an ambulance. I started chest compressions. One started to breathe. A nurse came over. Long ambulance ride, knowing that it wasn't going to end well. The boys, we knelt down and prayed, and just prayed, and God really works in messed up ways sometimes. Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
When you got to the hospital and realized that Lulu was gone to heaven, I remember you told me that the doctor said something right then, knowing just, again, how the anguish and how unspeakable this pain would be.
The emergency room doctor was a miracle, amazing. All the team was amazing. And he just said, I don't know what to tell you. I can only tell you what's been told to me. And the only advice I can give you is you just got to keep doing what you do, even though you're not going to want to do what you do. Get back into your routine. Just, sort of man to man. Just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we went to Cape Cod on a family vacation, family of 5. and drove over those bridges and drove back over the Cape Cod bridges as a family of 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I wanted to talk, and I hope I'm not, but I think this is a good time to throw that word that you so amazingly just sent me the meaning, the word of, but it was that desolation moment.
Yeah.
And that was, the sounds that come out of you, that you're unaware that they're you till you realize one moment, oh, those sounds are me. So the next morning there was a cemetery across the street, and I just had to get out and walk. And it was an old cemetery, and the fog was like, how it has that morning dew.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so surreal. And I was just looking at those people just buried there, and families buried. And I'm like, this is so sad. No one, what's your name? I wanted to know everyone's story. And I'm so sorry people have forgotten who you are. And cars started going by, and it's like, how can cars go by? Why am I still breathing? Why is the world still spinning? And that moment of desolation where we feel the absence of God.
Mm-hmm. And faith reminds us that we're not alone, but in moments like that you just described, you're so alone and so hurt and so angry and so lost.
Mm-hmm.
And just so again alone.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you
and
feel
as a
that?
mother and a wife, knowing that your children were hurting and your husband was suffering, and your own suffering going on. So there's just so many dynamics, and it's normal to feel what you feel, and don't ever apologize in those moments of despair, of feeling what you feel, because it's healthy to acknowledge them, I think,
But knowing you now and knowing you for years, I was always so amazed how you were able somehow to crawl out of that desolation and somehow look for signs. It was almost like you were just looking everywhere to see, to feel Lulu. In a rainbow, in a dragonfly, in a lesson, in a story. Did that happen? That must have taken a while, or did that happen right away during your desolation?
Thinking back, it's as if it's hard to describe. I would feel such intense pain and such intense joy. And I knew that joy wasn't coming from me. I knew that joy was her. How could it be coming from me? And I could just feel that joy and the amazing capacity of humanity to just open their hearts. When you go through such a tragedy, you see God working. You smell it, you feel it. It's a sense. It's a energy. And people let down their walls, and you get to see humanity without walls. There's a window of time there, and it's powerful. So with that said, I knew that her energy just went everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It was everywhere, and I couldn't explain it to someone. It was just a feeling. And then the timing of things, the dragonfly shows up. I wanted to talk to you, if you don't mind, one quick second. During that process, I did start writing, and it was the creative process, not realizing how healing it was. I just wanted selfishly to sort of remember her and remember the stories, and the creativity really started to unfold, and I feel like I was tapped into something greater than myself. And I thought, I'm never going to be able to laugh again. I'm never going to be able to laugh again. This is going to be a sad life for me, kind of one of those moments. And all of a sudden I felt something prickly rub against my left thigh. I thought, oh my gosh, what is that? My first instinct was to scream, but I don't know, it's because I was grieving and I've been whatever. I just couldn't get the scream out, like it got caught in my throat. And thank goodness, because it was the hugest, fattest skunk you've ever seen in your life, brushed by me and waddled down into a little burrow we had on the edge of the beach.
Oh.
And at that, moment, it was, the laughter through the tears kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit
And
more.
that gave me hope. So, yes.
I was going to say, talk a little bit more about the writing and the creativity
Yeah, sure.
and about Lulu's rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, well, the rose-colored glasses, I just jotted down before she passed, actually, a true story on a grain room one day, and I just kind of wrote it down. And I've always loved Dr. Seuss, so it just kind of came out in poet form, and I just kind of wrote it down to remind myself as a mother, just be patient, be kind, don't lose your cool, whatever, and being the insecure, person that I can be, I was like, oh, it's a silly story. No one will ever buy it or whatever. And it wasn't until Lulu died, I was like, oh my goodness. I went right back to that. It was like her message to me from, like it's almost as if she knew I needed it, like it was her story to me to help me for when it was her time to go. And then, the writing preceding that was all the other stories that I just wanted to remember. And it's in that process, you were just releasing emotions, releasing things that are trapped in your energy field, your spiritual field, whatever. And it's healing and cathartic. And you don't realize so much so until in retrospect how healing it is. And whether you think you're good or not, it doesn't matter. It's just doing something creative for yourself.
Can you share that moment in the car that was actually the Lulu's rose-colored glasses story, and kind of bring that to life? And maybe I know you probably know the story that you wrote by heart. Maybe a quick verse.
Well, do you want the real story, or do you want just the quip from the book?
No, I want the real story and then the quip from the book. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lulu was about 3, and it was a gray New England day. I'm from Iowa. We get really beautiful springs there. We get the sun. Not used to living out here, and just the gray, monochromatic gray after day after day. So it's been like 40 days we hadn't seen the sun, or 30, I don't remember, but I was in a bad mood, grocery shopping, and Lulu was in the back seat of the car. The boys were due to get home on the bus. 3 kids, busy mom. You can all relate. And Lulu excitedly found a pair of rose-colored glasses in the back of the car. Her father had bought them for her, and she had lost them, and she was so excited to have found them. And she's like, oh, Mama, and she put them on, and she's just, oh, Mama, telling me how beautiful everything is. I'm like, yeah, all right, Lulu, we got to get home. We have X, Y, and Z to do. And she just wouldn't stop. Just, come on, Mama. And I just said, Lulu, all right. Would you just be quiet and kind of leave me alone? Just be quiet for a minute. And I had a moment of grace. I looked in the rearview mirror and I saw what my energy was doing to this beautiful, happy little girl. And I thought, whoa. I said, all right, Lulu. I felt so guilty. I said, all right, Lulu, I'll try them on. We got home. I put them on. And magically, my whole attitude changed entirely for the day. And it was then that I realized that you can change your perception at any given second. It takes 1 second. And I thought, wow, I'm gonna write this down so I don't remember, or so I don't forget, so that I'll always remember this. And at the end of the day, that day, I said, Lulu, can I have your rose-colored glasses? And she said, no, Mama, you need to find your own. And I thought, wow, that's a story. That's something to hold on to. So it's been something for me to hold on to for 17 years now, and I still go back to that story, because it's moment to moment finding your happiness sometimes.
Do you remember off the top of your head a passage from the book?
Yeah. So after the car and the scene, and I looked at her face, and she had on a little grin. Didn't she know the mood I was in? And then I said, okay, Lulu, listen, we're almost home. Would you please be quiet and leave me alone? I looked at her sweet little face, and then gone was her wonderful magical grin. And I said, okay, Lulu, I'll try them on. I said, rather sad, wondering why in the world I had gotten so mad. So on went the darting glasses, so rosy on my face. And here's the key thing for me. In spite of myself. In spite of myself. So on went the darting glasses, so rosy on my face. In spite of myself, the world seemed a more beautiful place. Gone was the gray that had made me so glum. Everything was pink and rosy and plump. So I think to this day, and I know I have moments where I just kind of get in a spot and I just kind of wallow in it, and I make myself go back to my work, my prayer, my meditation, my breath work, my daily thing that I must do for my own health. And it's almost in spite of myself some days.
It seems like the book itself, Gretchen, is really like a prayer when I think about it. And then, I know that you've given away and sold thousands and thousands of these books over the years. And I've been to many of your book events or book signings, and just the lines of people that want to come and get a book and put on their rose-colored glasses, or just a chance to talk to you, because they need the glasses, they need the prayer, they need the help. And that was all part of healing for you.
Yes. And in fact, it's still like I needed to hear that just now, that people need to hear that. Like I forget how powerful that is, and people need to hear it. People lose hope and they lose faith. And it's easy to when you're not diligent and you don't have to do anything, and that's okay. But maybe in spite of yourself, try.
Right. Well, it does also speak to how faith is such a discipline. It's something that we as humans have to discipline ourselves to practice and stay centered and focused. And I think back about this unimaginable time, and men and women, husbands and wives, when they lose a child, I would imagine they grieve differently. Maybe they obsess in different ways, and not to get too personal, but how did that unfold a little bit in your beautiful family?
Well, wait a minute, Karen. We already got a little too personal. I think it's for the mother-father thing. Typically, it's the energy of the male wanting to protect, and Warren had to deal with that. I mean, and he has, and that's his nature, to be protected. He's the protector. That's his role, and that's who he is. And so dealing with that, and he's a private person. For me, doing the Lulu work, which I always call it, was what I had to do. It was my calling. It was my purpose. Otherwise, if I didn't, then what did it mean? Does it mean nothing or everything? It's like, it means everything. And it was a real challenge, with me always out there with the Lulu stuff, and him wanting to grieve privately. And there was that dichotomy, and that's the honest truth. And it was a lot of love, a lot of hugs, a lot of allowing each other to grieve the way you need to grieve. A lot of hard work there too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's, for a mother to have had this child grow in your womb, to have given birth to this child, to have nursed, this visit, and fathers get that as well. But it's different. It just is.
How are the boys?
The boys are good. Dr. Dylon now, and he's a waiting to hear on his board. He works at our chiropractic office, which is a wellness center, and I do yoga, and Dylan's doing the x-rays and, exercise consults with patients, and it's working out. It's working out good. And so, and Drew's, has his captain's license. He's on a tugboat in Texas. And he comes home every 28 days for 14 days, which I love. And we have our solitude, our little place in Vermont. And the boys, when they come and we get that time together, it's magical.
Yeah, I've been able to witness your tight-knit family, and just I admire too so much how you all really live in the present with each other. And I remember you saying to parents along the way, like, hug your child, love your child, like, be here today, be present, because they could be gone, and just how you share that message, but not only share it, you live it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think, just on a quick side thing, it was like, doing the Lulu work for as hard as I was pushing for so many years, it got to that point as well. It's like, okay, wait a minute. I'm telling everyone to spend time with their families and do this. And I actually had to practice that as well. And it's been, we unplug our phones, we go to Vermont, we just unplug and we're with each other and we're outdoors with each other and we're just with each other, cooking together, just working as a team and hiking, whatever we're doing, but doing projects, but, cell phones are off, we have dinner together, just that.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm. And pretty priceless,
Totally priceless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gretch, I know you being the creative person that you are, and you're so filled with God's grace and energy, and I know that you are that you have amazing dreams, and you've dreamt about Lulu, you've seen Lulu in your dreams, and you've been to heaven and back. And can you just give us a glimpse of I remember one powerful dream you shared with me, but I think that really inspired one of your other books. But can you give us a little piece of your imagination?
Sure. Keep in mind, the dreams it's that ethereal place. It's that place where you get transported right to the other side, And I had a dream whereby I was in this plain, blank, white space. There was nothing around. There was no floor, no ceiling, nothing. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Lulu coming at me and she had her blankie, which is significant because she always had her blankie. And 2 days before she passed, we couldn't find it, and we still haven't found it. And Maureen Hancock has since said, yes, she brought a blankie up with her to heaven. It's just ironic, but she had a blankie with her. Oh my goodness, I scooped her up. I could, like, all the senses that you sense here are there, like the smell, I could smell her, I could feel her, and it was just, our hearts were beating together, and it was, it was a moment of heaven, and I don't know how long we were there, but she was so excited. She said, let me show you what I do, and we went into space. It was like the aurora borealis, only it was a light background with a rainbow of colors. And she said, Mama, watch. And all the colors were still, like a still life. And she started to dance and twirl. And the rainbow and the colors, like majestic colors, like your eyes couldn't see on this plane, just moving and swirling around her and through her. And then it went into her, as if to her glasses, empty glass. And it went into her like rainbow water, if you will. And she became it, and it became her, and it was all one. And I go, oh my goodness. And she sort of looked at me without eyes. I know it's weird, but took my hand and with a silhouette. She said, look, Mommy, you can do it too. And within a moment, we were dancing and twirling and giggling and laughing and creating one of those spiral, what were those things we played with as a kid? Those things you put the color on, the spin wheel color.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
Created this, like, colors splattering and just giggle and laughter and no noise but us. And that was my heaven. And that was another message. And that was that it's everywhere. The rainbow, is all of us. It's the energy is. It's not, heaven's not here or there. It's here now. everywhere. And I get those moments with the boys, just unplugging and going for a hike and, on a beach with a dragonfly, or it's those moments that you just sort of carry with you. And it's as real as me standing here now talking to you. So,
and those,
and ironically, on this very day, I just got a text from a friend I do a goddess class once a month, and she's in the class, and she had a vivid dream with Lulu last night, and she just texted me this whole beautiful dream. And it's like, those are the unexpected treasures and trinkets and gifts. And when one person, a story or energy impacts another and impacts another, and that's the miracle,
The glimpses of those miracles in your life, and the awareness that they're happening, and the gratefulness and the gratitude that you offer to Lulu is just beautiful to witness, I can say, as your friend. And I also think too that those are some of the things that death can't take away, right? Death takes away so much,
beyond that.
But looking for the things that death can't take away.
Right. It's beyond death, it's greater than. It can't. It's a mathematical, you can't do it. Energy can't die, And we just, see it from our little window, our little perspective, and you get stuck with the pain and all the emotions that come with it, and just learning to release those and let them go, and finding the joy and finding the love and living in that. And it's real and tangible.
And yet so hard to live out, to just learn to give our lives to God and to just let go. And I think about what makes it so hard for we as humans to not let go. What are we holding on to, right? And we're holding on to, a lot. Fear.
Why do you think we do that, though? Why do we hold on to that when, we're on a spiritual show? And a spiritual show, you wouldn't think that we'd even be talking about having to hold on to fear, but we all do still.
Yes.
And it's a programming issue or something.
Yeah. It's really being human. But I remember someone said that letting go, it feels like I'm giving up, or I'm failing, or is letting go kind of, many of us not wanting to face the roots of our problems or our challenges. And yeah, it's just really hard. And I do think through prayer and practice and being attentive, that helps. And I know that you share such a deep belief that God has a purpose for each and every one of us, and that God has a plan for us. And it's taken, you've said it's taken you a while sometimes to realize what's your purpose, or to trust trust in his purpose.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you put it exactly the way you did. And I think when getting right to the center of that issue is the ego, and that starts to get in all of our way, and we feel like it should go one way and it goes another. We feel like we're a failure if we let go, and we've been programmed we can't fail and we can't let go, and a whole trust issue. And it's a journey for sure, but every single day is making a conscious decision to live in this joy of living and love and light, and the light that to honor, selfishly to honor Lulu, that's who she was. For me to try to emanate something else wouldn't honor her. And it's a practice of, I guess, a centered consciousness. And then eventually, and this is from Untethered Soul, I love that book, would recommend it to anyone, but it actually says, eventually it just becomes your norm. That becomes the seat of yourself or your soul, whereby when you start to feel those other feelings, those become the abnormal. And I can tell you, I'm not there every day, all day, at all, but it's way better. The scale is definitely way more balanced, and that's just it, choosing light and love and letting the rest go.
Mm. And, St. Ignatius talks about making use of those things that help bring us closer to God and leaving aside those things that don't. And first of all, we have to recognize the things that don't, and then kind of put that into practice. But I know that you pray a special intention each morning when you get up. Again, I don't mean to be too personal, but could you share with us kind of like your morning intention and how it helps you? And then I'd like to talk a little bit more too about mindfulness and your yoga and how that's helped you. So first of all, maybe your prayer, like when you start the day.
So, well, every morning I get up and I mix up, I have these essential oils that I use. One I make up, it's called Lulu's Magic. It's great. It has frankincense and beautiful flowers, but I activate my intention. And my, intention every day, I use a breath. I activate my intention, which is light, love, joy, strength, intelligence. And then I breathe out and I release anything that isn't that. And selfishly, beauty. Yes, I want beauty too. But it's activating that intention. And I metaphorically take a crown and I place it on my head and I own it because I'm aligned with divine and my higher self, and releasing everything that isn't that. Because we all have shame, we all have guilt, we all have blame, we all have fear, we all have those emotions. And it's a matter of acknowledging them and just letting them go. And so I do that every single morning.
As you are just talking now, Gretchen, I'm thinking about Lulu and like the dragonflies and the butterflies, and just the freedom of letting go. And like, that's the message, And
what's so weird is because I knew you were going to ask me to describe Lulu. And so I'm describing, light and joy and happiness and beauty and strength. And I never put two and two together until I realized, just when, this came up, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I intentionally activate every morning of my life. Mm-hmm. So it's no wonder I see her sign,
Yes.
And it's in those moments that you do, and sometimes even in moments of despair.
Yes.
But I think there's much more when you're full of joy and light and, love.
Well, I know years ago someone had said to you, happiness is a choice. And that was hard to hear, when you're grieving. And but
wow. What happy people know. I think Dr. Dan Baker in his book. It's a good book. I burned a lot of books.
I bet
that's
you
a good
did.
book. That's a great book because you think about that. It is. It really is. And that's a hard pill to swallow. Now, it's easy for me to say sitting on a beautiful garden, but, I don't know what it's like to be, starving to death. And would I say that?
Right.
But for me today, happiness is a choice.
What about your yoga and your mindfulness practice, and then also how you share that with others?
Yeah, so I love it. Love it. I started using the breath work, doing my mindful meditation, and then sort of yoga found me, or I found it. I'm not sure how that worked, but just the stretches, because issues do get stuck in our tissue. Always. If you're having a tough emotional time, I'm willing to bet you're going to feel it somewhere in your body. And then you end up having to deal with that problem or see a chiropractor. But the, issue, so the stretching with the mindfulness, opening space in your body and really your body being the vessel for what you have here on earth today and honoring that and using the mild stretches combined with the breath work, it creates just even more of an in-depth feeling of being connected, mind, body, and spirit. Because this is our vessel right now, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And so are you practicing yoga and mindfulness every day?
Every day I practice personally, every day. I do private and semi-private lessons at my husband's office. And I do events. So I just got certified actually last spring. I've done one grief yoga workshop this fall. I'll be doing more. The Children's Edgar Town Memorial Lighthouse. I'd like to do one there. Lulu has a plaque there. And they asked me to write a children's book about the spirit of the Memorial Lighthouse. So, there's always things going, but again, it's honoring and keeping my balance in all of this. And the privates and the semi-privates have really been keeping me, I love it. I love it.
And you use the word balance.
Mm-hmm.
My father used to always say, God balances us out. So listen to God. There's a balance there. And I think that's also hard for us. Like we talked about letting go, but balance is really hard, especially in our crazy busy age of distraction, and technology and all that,
Oh, my word. Well, see, in letting go, you find the balance.
Well, that's
right?
true.
And your father was way ahead of his time, wasn't he?
Yes, indeed. He was way ahead of his time, and he's in heaven, and I think he's trying to reach me several times and saying, messages like slow down and stop, and we just have to be open to our loved ones, and because they're never gone, they're always with us in spirit and in heart, and so here we are, Gretch, like 17 years later, and what does hope look like now for you?
Well, hope looks like happiness. Hope is right now. That's what it looks like now. It's here now. It's everywhere. It's learning. I have it on the tip of my tongue, Karen.
Hope is now, though. And hope is love, and hope is seeing love and experiencing it and feeling it and living it, and there are good days and bad days.
Hope for something, hope for happiness, hope for joy. Because there are times when you don't have happiness or joy, but if you have a little trinket of hope for it, without that, and I'm telling you, there's hope. And there's hope for joy and hope for happiness.
Yes, always.
And I think 17 years later, the only thing that time has done is made me more sure of it and more convicted. Because, for a moment I lost it, and it was probably the worst time of my life. So hold on to it. It's precious. And if you don't have it, find someone who does and hang with them.
Right. That's good advice. I hope that people listening will hang with you and visit the website lulubellbooks.com and learn more about your books and some of the things that you've done and are doing, and then also how beautiful that you've honored Lulu's life with the Lulu Foundation, and you're doing amazing work with the Lulu Foundation. Can you just explain to our listeners what that's about? And
Sure. It's diversified. It's grassroots. So we have a scholarship fund for young girls who want to become chiropractors. Lulu's daddy's a chiropractor, and her brother, and she wanted to be a chiropractor. So it's an endowed fund. So 2 girls get pretty nice scholarships to help them on their, education. We give to different organizations who help women, Boston Women's Fund, Gift to Give, who actually helps families, water.org, excuse me. So, and constantly doing, giving away books and offering people hope, and doing the one-on-ones with people who've lost, loved ones, doing sessions, Reiki, yoga, mindful meditation, just always looking for ways to spread some hope.
Thank you for that. Gretchen, please know that how incredibly grateful we are for your time and your messages and your love this afternoon, and know that we will continue to keep you and Warren and the boys and all of your good work in our prayers. And, life is like a rosary. It's filled with great joy and great sorrow. And you've certainly, proven that through our conversation this afternoon. And I just want to, in the true spirit of Gretchan Pyne, finish up the GodPod by letting people know that are suffering a loss, that, like you said, that there is hope. And in Matthew 5 says, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. And knowing that we all need each other and we all need to comfort each other. And you've done that for so many. Lulu has, and her spirit lives on. And
thank you, Karen. My pleasure. My honor. Thank you.
For more Catholic faith resources, follow us at bc.edu/C21 or via Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.